Okay, so I'm going to look at the speedometer and the tachometer next. They're not, I don't know if they're working or not. I did notice when I spun the wheel, the um, speedometer cable doesn't turn. So I'm going to have to look into that. But for now, uh, mainly what I want to do is replace this O-ring here. Um, and apparently I need to get some rust out of here too. So I'm going to do a little general cleanup, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Oh, look at all that. Anyway, so I guess I could show you the process if anybody's interested. I don't know what the process is going to be. I'm making this up as I go, but if you want to see me make a bunch of mistakes, why, keep watching, I suppose. And there's where all the rust is coming from. Ew. Have to clean that up. What else do we have here? Oh, here's the light bulb. But I'm pretty sure that was working, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'll just set that aside here. Let's see. What else does this need electrical for? This is a speed. I think this is a speed. This is some kind of switch that goes back to the turn signal cancel box. Oh, there we go. Trip odometer works, or at least it's resettable. So that's good. I don't really have any intention of opening this up. I just want to replace this, see how hard it is to get this this O-ring off. Oh boy. It's like, it's disintegrating into tar or something. So, I'll have to clean this up a bit before the new one can go on. Look at that. That's not good at all. Okay, well, so yeah, that can be cleaned up and made ready for a new O-ring or whatever you call that, weather seal. And with a weather seal, maybe in the future this won't quite look like that, huh? Yeah. So, all right, so that's about all there is to see, I guess. So, ooh, the rust is infiltrated into this guy. I don't know. I hate to have to try and disassemble this, but because it's, this would have to be pried all up. Look at that. And there's a dead spider in there. So maybe I can get it out through the light bulb hole or something, I don't know. I wish they made these things easier to open up, but they don't. Because yeah, if I could just get that bezel off without mangling it, but I'd have to mangle it. I'll have to decide if it's worth it. Well, here's the problem. That's kind of supposed to be connected to the other end. So, but that makes me feel better about the speedometer. It probably works then, and the speedometer gear probably both work, and it's just the cable that isn't working right. So, that makes me feel better. So, I wonder if I can spin this in there and get some kind of... Whoa, that doesn't spin at all. There may be more going on here than I thought. Because that should spin freely. Maybe that's why the cable broke. Something seized up in there. Warrants further investigation. Okay, I got the speedometer taken apart. So here's the trouble. This whole inside of this part here is bound up. It's not moving. And if you're not familiar with speedometers, as the cable turns this shaft, it has a worm screw in there that turns this guy, which turns that guy, which turns that guy, which turns another gear, and what happens is the odometers will slowly roll forward while you drive. It's a direct connection, right? But for the speedometer, you don't want that spinning. You need it to you know. So what they do is they have, let's see, they have a magnet. This right here is a magnet, and as that magnet spins, it puts, well, actually it's spin that way, it puts pressure, or it pulls this metal cap in the same direction. But this metal cap is prevented from just spinning by a little tiny screw in there. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little tiny, looks like a watch spring. There's a, did I say screw? There's a little tiny spring in there, and that makes resistance. So since this is not directly connected to that, once it reaches so much resistance that it can't move anymore, well, then the needle is pointing to oops, sorry, the needle is now pointing to wherever whatever your speed is, right? And so the faster you go, the more force gets put on this guy against that spring. So the further up on the speedometer the needle moves, and it's calibrated so that that force equals how fast you're going. So without this thing turning, none of this works. And unfortunately, this whole shaft is kind of riveted in there with little bendy tab rivet things, and I don't really want to tear this apart any further, because then we get into, making sure that all these numbers line up the same way that they did before, and don't lose any little parts, and any of these little tabs could break when we unbend them and rebend them. And that's just to get to the part. I don't know if I can free it up or not. So I think what I'm going to do for now is put some penetrating oil in there and let it soak for a while, and then see if I can work it loose. If not, probably looking at a new speedometer, finding a new or used speedometer. So that looks like where I am with the speedometer. That I wasn't expecting to have trouble with this, but there, it is what it is. So yeah. So I may not need to clean all this. Well, I probably have to clean this up, because the speedometer is probably not going to come with this housing, so definitely got to clean that up. Still going to have to get a new one of these. Yeah, so so we'll see if I can get that piece freed up or not, and if I can't, well, then I'm going to have to do some shopping, I guess. So, okay, well, that's where we are with that. Look what came in the mail today. It's parts from Rex's Speed Shop. I got my ignition coil, and I got my CDI, official Rex electronic ignition system. So, complete with mounting bracket. And this was really nice. I wasn't expecting this. They sent me a brand new spark plug cap. I figured I'd have to reuse the old setup, but no, this came with all this, so that's really nice. Seems like a kind of a weird color, but you know, if it works, who cares? So I'm really excited. Yeah, my only I just wish that I had been able to get a tracking number so that I would know when this was coming. But this was a really nice surprise. I was hoping for an owner's manual, which didn't arrive today, so it'll probably arrive tomorrow. But this was a really nice... I'd rather have this. So I'm really excited. I'm going to hook these up. I'm going to have to put some... hook some of the wiring back together because a lot of stuff is unplugged right now. So I'm going to have to install these, plug the switch, the kill switch back in, make sure the starter or the electrical on switch is plugged in. So I think that got unplugged when I was messing with the speedometer wires. So I am really excited about this. Just about ready to see if I can get spark, and hopefully I do, so I don't have to send the coil in to get checked, because that's a lot of money and a lot of time. That is from a whole different video series, but I was fixing up a starter motor and modifying it to go on an electric bicycle, which made a lot of people very angry, but you know, whatever. And this little clip came off and it zoomed across the room and I never saw it again. So I made a new one out of an old wire coat hanger, and that one went zooming across the room and I never saw it again, and so I made another one out of a coat hanger and that one worked, and so now everything's all put back together, and wouldn't you know it, I found the original clip. So, so that's just a funny little side story, but I'm going to save that, put it in the box of e-bike parts. The other thing, this has been off the charger for 4 or 5 days now, but yeah, it started out, it kind of settled down to 12.5 volts after I took it off the charger, and then here it is, yeah, 4 or 5 days later, it's 12.09. It's still above 12 volts. So when I had it on the tester, I did two discharge tests, and they both came in at just a little bit over 3 amp hours, which is a little low, I guess. Although, you know, this Interstate Batteries cyclotron couldn't be bothered to write down what the capacity is supposed to be. There's no, there should either be cold crank amps or there should be a capacity in either amp hours or watt hours. And this guy has nothing. So we have the part number and then we have this configuration number, and that's it. So that's kind of maybe I can look up what a new, if I can find one of these online. Maybe I found a Yuasa, same configuration, and it came with 8 amp hours. So 3 seems a little low. I bet if this was a starter battery, it wouldn't have the crank amps anymore that it would need to start a bike. But since this is only a storage battery, we don't need to worry about crank amps because we have no crank. So, and the fact that it holds a charge, takes a charge, holds a charge, and has capacity, well, heck, I'm just going to use it till it breaks. I mean, every cell is good. There's no dead cells. So I'm really surprised. I had that figured for, absolutely gone, but yeah, seems okay. So I'm gonna use it. One other thing. Let's see. One other update. So this guy. Ooh, I'm dripping. So I left this to soak overnight with penetrating oil in it, right? And so here's the result. Let me get stuff together for you. Here's the old cable end. I still can't turn it by hand. But take a look at this. So it is it at least turns now. It's broken loose. It's not doing very well. I still think I'm probably going to need you hear it's still binding up in there. It's just, at least it's not seized anymore. But you ever wonder if you made this, if you turn this backwards, would the odometer go backwards too? Since this is pretty much gone, maybe I'll do that as an experiment. Go backwards and see. Well, anyway. But yeah, it's loose now, but it is not easy to turn. The only other thing I can think of is, now that it's got penetrating oil in it, maybe what I'll do is hook it up to a drill and just have it run for a while on the drill and see if we can't grind whatever junk is in there up into a fine enough powder that it doesn't bother it anymore. But it's probably still toast. I'm probably going to have to find a new speedometer. So this guy turned out okay. So I wire wheeled all the loose rust out, and then I put some rust remover, converter, or something in there, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. I mean, it looks terrible, but and there's still this powder that has to be dealt with. But the thing is this is all stabilized now, or at least it's supposed to be. And what I can do is probably wire wheel it one more time, and then clean it up with some kind of solvent to make sure there's no grease or oils in there at all. And then I can go ahead and give it a nice coating of paint. I have some paint that goes on over light rust. The important thing is we'll get all this cleaned up, encapsulated, stabilized, so it won't make more rust particles to get into the next speedometer that we put in there, and we won't have to replace it. So at least there's that. I don't really, yeah, okay. So I guess the next step is what I'm really itching to do is see if I can get sparks. So these guys are new. The spark plug's new. I got to plug a few wires back in so all the switches are in place, and then see if I can get some spark. So I will be back when the next interesting development happens.